Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our Spotlight on Women in STEM event. Thank you very much for joining. My name is Steve, and I'm the Graduate Programme Manager here at BAE Systems. So I'll be joining for the first part of this session and say a little bit more about our organisation, some exciting opportunities that we have here. I'll then be handing over to some of my colleagues who I'll introduce in a second. Now, we've got a number of applications that are currently open in BAE Systems for our graduate and undergraduate opportunities. And I'd really encourage anybody who's joining us today that's interested in what they hear to apply as quick as possible, because we are closing those as we fill those rather than having a hard stop on. So joining me on the call today is Rachel, a systems engineering employee. He'll be hosting the panel discussion shortly. And Alexa, Sophia and Becky, some of our awesome graduates who are on our programme today, will help share some of their experiences and bring our organisation and our graduate programme to life a little bit more. So let's learn a little bit more about BAE Systems, and I'll tell you a little bit more about it, and also a little bit more about our graduate programs. If we can just move to the next slide, if that's possible for me, please. So in terms of our organisation, we put quite simply, we serve, supply and protect those who serve and protect us. We're very much a culture-driven organisation. We value diversity, we reward integrity and merit, and we want to be, we feel we are a place where everybody has opportunities to fulfil their potential, no matter what their background. To give you some idea of our size, we've got around 90,000 employees within our workforce, and we're spread across more than 40 organisations. And we very much see employees at the heart of everything that we do. And because of that, we need to make sure we nurture our talent and develop and empower people to really drive kind of innovation and help us solve some of our really complex challenges that we have as an organisation. Again, if someone can move to the next slide for me, please. I'll talk a little bit more about our graduate opportunities in a second, but again, just a little bit more about our culture. We're incredibly proud as employees, as an organisation, not just what we do, but also how we do it. And those employees that do join us, join that inclusive organisation where we really do work to the highest ethical and environmental standards, and recognise that we have a real social responsibility in those environments, countries and communities that we operate, and do a lot of work around those environments. And our undergraduate and graduates are an integral part of some of those activities. So just touching on the next slide and just bringing to life a little bit more sort of facts and figures on us. Again, as an organisation, we are a global defence and supplier with world-leading innovative technology. We have sort of operations and what we call positions across the air, maritime and land domains, and we include to grow in our cybersecurity sector. I talked about us having operations in 40 countries, but we primarily focus on the US, the UK, the Saudi Arabia and the Australian market. And in terms of our graduate programs, we're delighted that we're continuously recognised in the Times Top 100 as a graduate employer. We're continuously recognised through Rate My Placement as an attractive undergraduate employer. And this year we were delighted that we were rated #1 in Universum's UK's most attractive employer rankings for engineering professionals. So if we just touch on the next slide, it's a real kind of bedrock of a kind of graduate programme that we have, and delighted that we're recognised externally for it. Again, here in the UK, which we'll primarily talk to you about today in terms of some of our opportunities, we're actively looking for over 400 graduates to join us in 2022, and around 250 undergraduates. So relatively large numbers, and again, recognising the really sort of high demand that we have as an organisation, and the emphasis that we place on the need for graduates and undergraduates. And I've listed some examples there of the type of sort of roles that we offer, but these are by no means an exhaustive list. So there's lots of links embedded here, and I'd encourage you to go to basystems.com and search for early careers opportunities, and you'll see a full list of the opportunities that we have. And just touching on the next slide, if I just bring to life really briefly, and the team later will just bring this to life a little bit more in some of their examples. Our graduate programme is really quite unique and is structured around putting people into substantive roles from when they enter the organisation. We recognise that there's different points that people can join us, and we enable flexibility by allowing people to join either in January, June or September. And then we have a programme that's paced between 18 and 30 months, allowing graduates on our programme to choose when they're ready to come off the programme, because everybody develops at different paces, and we want to recognise that and allow people to appropriately pace themselves. We put real emphasis, not just on all our employees, but particularly within our graduates and undergraduates, around learning and development. And we start that from day one, as everybody who joins us comes into a 2-week induction programme, where we really look to embed people into the organisation and give them a really good understanding of how we work, why we work, and get at grips with some of the key processes in the organisation to allow people to kind of hit the ground running when they start within the role after those first 2 weeks. We also put people through 10 days of core soft skills development, again, recognising that people coming straight out of university or in their kind of first or second job, we have deliberately designed a programme that supports them with those softer skills and gives one-to-one coaching through a kind of structured programme, something we call personal effectiveness. We also enable a number of networking and what we call stretch opportunities, which allow people to deliver and get involved in things outside of their role, perhaps where some of their interests lie, such as running sustainability weeks for us, engaging with STEM work activities, undertaking activities similar to what Becky, Sophia and Alex are undertaking today, or going back to our own university to talk to potential graduates about opportunities within the company or some of the great work we do in our communities as well. And we support a number of professional and technical development routes through our graduate programs as well. But we also make sure that there's a clear support network for everybody joining us by wrapping a real support network around people from a number of different components from within the organisation. And again, some it's quite facts and figures. We look towards people who are aspiring or have achieved a 2-2 degree and above. We have a starting salary of £30,000 with a £2,000 welcome bonus for everybody who joins our graduate programme. Again, we welcome applications from a variety of backgrounds for all our roles. So I really encourage you, if you are interested, to put your application through from some of those addresses I talked about earlier. If we just move on to the next slide, similar sort of structure, but this highlights really our undergraduate programs. Again, I mentioned we're looking around sort of 250 of those per year. If we just move on to the next slide. When we talk about undergraduate opportunities, we're talking about those people who join us for a 3-month summer internship or indeed a 12-month industrial placement programme. And those those opportunities, again, we see as a real pipeline into our graduate programs. So again, we have opportunities that we're advertising now for summer internships, industrial placement programs for next year, with a really similar support network from the one I've just talked about, with some ongoing development and a clear induction program for people who are joining us through our undergraduate programs as well. So again, loads more information on these programs on our website. Links embedded in there, but again, please feel free to ask the guys questions about any of these points as you spend some time later on today. And I guess the final thing for me is to say, and I've mentioned it a couple of times, I would really encourage, if you are kind of enjoying what you hear today or liking what you hear or interesting opportunities, don't delay, apply now, because we're literally closing those applications as we're meeting that demand on a role by role basis. So the website's then to basystems.com/graduates, and look forward to hopefully working with you at some point in 2022. So I'd like to now hand over to Rachel, and I will welcome your panel discussion. Thank you.
Hi, good afternoon all. Thank you very much for joining us during our talk this afternoon. We're going to go through very brief introductions, and there's going to be a panel discussion amongst ourselves. My name is Rachel Carr, I work for BAE Systems, and I'm up in our Northwest base at Wharton. My background is systems engineering, and my current role is I'm a vehicle systems integrator. Can I please start with Becky? Can you please give some brief introductions on yourself?
Yes, thank you, Rachel. My name is Becky Mullen. I started the company in September 2020, so just over a year ago now, and I'm an engineer in the air sector, and I'm currently a graduate aerodynamicist.
Alexa?
Hi, I'm Alexa Hancock. I'm a graduate hardware engineer in our electronic systems business in Rochester. I actually started BAE originally in 2019 as a summer intern. I then went back, did my final year of university, and I've started again on the graduate scheme in September 2020. So I've been here just over a year.
And finally, Sophia.
Hi, I'm Sophia Lee Roberts. I think I'm the newest of the grad, so I started this September, coming straight from uni, doing physics and philosophy. So, but now I'm doing project management.
Thank you very much. Ladies, obviously we're going to have a bit of a Q&A now, and please, if anyone that's joined us, fire in any questions as and when you hear anything that you want to hear a bit more of, or you just want to join in with our conversations. Can you just tell a little bit about what your journey was into BAE Systems and how you came across us, what made you come to us, why we're so fantastic? Please go through your journeys.
I don't mind kicking off.
Thank you.
So I was similar to Alexa. I applied for internships during my second year of university, and BAE was one of the places I applied to, and it was the first place I got an offer from. So I came to do a summer internship in 2019, and I ended up in a role in Typhoon Aerodynamics, and I really loved it. So I went back to do my last year at uni, and that's how I ended up back up here.
Alexa, diving in.
Yeah, mine's pretty much the same. I actually enjoy, liked BAE so much I applied twice for my summer internship. My first year, the interview unfortunately clashed with an exam, so I didn't quite get to go to it. But yeah, I applied for the 2019 summer internship, got it, really enjoyed my internship, so has come back as a grad now, as a hardware engineer within electronic systems. Yeah.
And I guess I'll go next. So like the others, I applied for an internship, but in my second year. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic, I think they were cancelled. So I didn't end up doing one. But for me, I really wanted to apply to BAE because I had a friend who was here, and he told me how amazing it was, and how great the kind of project management stream can be. So when it got around to applying for grad jobs, I made sure it was like the first one I applied to, probably one of the last I heard back from. But yeah, I was really keen and made sure it was my top choice.
What were your recruitment journeys like? So I imagine that as we've travelled through, we've got scaling vast amounts of time, we've had the pandemic in the middle of it. What was your recruitment journey like for each of you? I'll start with Sophia this time.
So for me, it was very much like applications in October. I think I had a notification set for like when they were meant to open, or like checking back quite regularly. So I applied quite early on. And then we had to do like those psychometric tests. A virtual interview, so where they have the pre-recorded questions, and then I guess somebody goes away and looks at the little videos that you record, and then the kind of final step there, which was about I think March time last year. It would have been March time this year actually. It was it feels like an age away. A kind of again virtual interview, but with two people who were actually there from the project management capability, and it was really nice to have a chat with them, almost as a kind of two-way stream, so them seeing obviously if they wanted to hire me, but it was a great opportunity for me to actually learn a bit more about the culture in applied intelligence, which is where I sit, which is a little bit different to the rest of group. So yeah.
Alexa?
I guess I'll start. My recruitment process probably went back a while, because I first heard about BAE actually in secondary school. So my friends did work experience here, and I actually came back absolutely loving it. So it always kind of been in the back of my mind. So during university, I kind of decided I wanted to do a summer internship, get a chance to prove my skills and the different bits that I'd learn over my degree. So yeah, I actually applied during second year. my site's actually quite close to home, so it was a good, good commute, good fit, and I'd heard good things about the programme from other people at university. So I, again, unfortunately didn't get in second year, but then reapplied in third year, got got on site, and really enjoyed kind of being put on work straight away. And there was that support network and learning, but at the same time I was doing real work that would impact the program straight away. I really enjoyed. So at the end of it, we got an evaluation, at which point I thankfully actually got a pretty good one and was kind of good enough to be offered back, which I took them up on. So kind of coming back, finishing my degree in 2020, which I know was an interesting year to finish a degree. I'm sure everyone here who's still an undergraduate has faced it as well. And then has come back as a graduate, so it was pretty easy after that. As for the actual recruitment process, it was pretty similar to Sophia. You apply and then you get sent some tests. You do a set of video interviews, and that's just recorded. And then I also had the same opportunity of a in-person interview this time. Chance to talk to people. My site does it, that one of the interviews is a graduate and one of the interviews is a senior leader. So I actually got to ask one of the graduates face-to-face about what it's like to work at the business. So that's pretty much my journey.
And finally, Becky.
Yeah, so I was applying for internships during my second year of uni because I wanted to test whether I loved engineering and practice. So I wasn't sure whether I wanted to do maths or engineering at uni, and I guess I was a little bit scared that I'd get into an engineering job and actually hate it. So I was hammering out the engineering summer internship applications during my second year, and I went through much the same process. I guess slightly different because after the psychometric tests, we mentioned I got rejected from BAE, but very luckily got an email about a week later saying that they'd looked through my CV and application and wanted to invite me to a video interview anyway. And so that was how I got through. So I did the video interview, and then I went to an in-person interview because this was before COVID. And yeah, I came into my internship and absolutely loved it. Performed well and got a graduate job offer. And then during my final year at uni, I still looked at sort of different companies, but there was nothing that appealed to me enough to pull me away from the fact I knew I really enjoyed BAE. So that was how I ended up coming back.
Thank you very much. Three quite different journeys, but you're all here, loving it. Can I please ask, honest opinions, why do you think it's not seen as an attractive career for women? Why do we not have the equal ratio in engineering? Open board, one ears can...
I might pick that up, I think as the only non-engineer in the room. But I think, and this is something that I've kind of looked at through uni in terms of diversity work, and it's largely a supply chain issue. So we see fewer women going to study STEM subjects at like GCSE, you kind of have to, but like at A levels, and then you get even more of a drop off by the time you get to university, and then you get again more drop off once you leave university. So it's quite a systemic issue in that respect. And so even if companies do want to be hiring like 50-50 ratios, that kind of demand is not necessarily always there. And I guess with kind of outreach work and like events like this as well, that's trying to look at the supply chain and encourage women before we leave university, that's how we can try and get more people in, having that kind of representation. And yeah.
Thanks. I think we're a bit late. I think we need to start at high school and then college and then university. Get them all in.
Yeah, I think it's definitely one of those things that you need to be like, it's a multi-pronged approach, or it needs to be a multi-pronged approach, but we're doing one of the prongs right now, so ticking one of those boxes.
Alexa, Becky, do you have any thoughts or opinions?
I don't know as well if there's slightly less applications in comparison to the commercial sector, just because it's a defence company, and I'm not sure if that's because people are sort of a bit apprehensive about the culture or anything at the company. Which I must admit, it was in my mind before I joined that. Maybe because it was a defence company, everything was, I don't know, going to be really serious, maybe slightly scary. But it was the complete opposite when I got here. It's one of the most open places I've worked, to be honest. But I don't know if that's part of it.
Yeah, I think there's a worry that it's, sometimes a bit of worry that it's going to be a boys' club, or, a chance to, you're not going to have the opportunities that other people are going to have. And I think there's, some worry that you'll be isolated when you're here, which it hasn't been the case. Can you all still hear me? Because I'm getting...
We can't. Oh, no, we can't. We've lost her.
No.
Hopefully she'll be back soon. She can finish that lovely story for us. Would either of you, why would you encourage people to come into STEM? Oh no, she's back.
Hey, yes, sorry.
Go, Alexa.
Always the case, internet cuts out the minute you start talking. But yeah, I think there's a worry that it's a bit of a boys' club, which hasn't been the case when I've been here, at least. I think there's a worry you'll be isolated with people who maybe don't share the same interests, which again is something I've not found. So yeah.
Thank you very much. And a follow up before we move on to sort of the next sectors. Why would you encourage others to go into a career into STEM?
Before answering that question, I just kind of want to pick up on what Alexa was saying about
Absolutely.
the kind of fear about being isolated. I think at least something I've noticed in the few months I've been here is that it's quite the opposite. That at least in applied intelligence, there does seem to be a really huge push for diversity and inclusion that I was quite surprised at. Which is great, but you do see a lot of inclusion events, not just necessarily about being a woman in STEM or a woman in defense, but also about other things, so race, abilities, and things like that. So I think there has been quite a nice warm culture, which I don't want to say I was massively surprised at, but I think for a defense company, I was a little bit surprised at. But positively surprised.
Good.
Yeah,
Encouraging others. Go on.
Yeah, I think I was going to say we've actually just been at our graduate workshop today. I think Becky, you're probably there as well as a second year.
Yes, yeah, I was.
And funnily enough on that, we've actually just had a whole talk and workshop this morning on diversity and inclusion, and specifically pointing at not only kind of diversity of everyone being in the room, but promoting inclusion in the company, which is everyone has a voice and feels comfortable having a voice, which is something that I hadn't had even known or had seen that distinction before I came to BAE. So it's really definitely getting pushed.
Encouraging. Why would you encourage people to come into STEM?
Yeah, back to your actual question. Sorry.
It's all right. It's fine.
But yeah, I think that if you like STEM, you should do STEM, which sounds like a very blatantly obvious statement to make. But yeah, I think also, and I don't know if I should be saying this at a Women in STEM panel, if you don't like STEM, that's okay as well. I think I think that there is that push because we do want to make sure that everybody who enjoys it has the opportunity. But I think, yeah, recognizing that it kind of goes both ways. And if you're a guy in STEM listening to this and you don't like STEM, equally, that's okay.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say it's actually just really rewarding. Watching something you've built or made, especially because I'm in engineering, or contributed to, and watching it work or be used by someone else. Or recently, I work in head-up displays, and I got to kind of watch the work I've been doing on the testing rig. That's a feeling that you don't get in a lot of other places of seeing, working on it, putting all your hard work in, and having that kind of rush at the end of going, oh, this is something that I've worked on, is being used, and I'm making an impact. It's really tangible in the real world, and it's something that kind of attracted me to this career, and the opportunity to solve those problems in the world, which wouldn't get solved if there weren't engineers or people in STEM. So that's what attracted me. I don't know if Becky, you've had something similar.
Yeah, it's similar, and also there's just so much variation in it. Like it's one of those things where like if you like STEM, you might not know what you like within it. So I rocked up to my interview and they asked what I was interested in, and I was just like maths. I don't know what else to say other than I love maths. And they found me a role where you got to do lots of maths, and they put me into it, and that was great. And so like it's not as if you need to know specifically what you really want to do. If there's like just sort of a little bit of STEM you're interested in, you can just sort of explore that. And if you're not sure, there's so much flexibility to move around. So I've moved into my third role within aerodynamics already, and that's because we're encouraged to move around. But I also know people that started really didn't like the role they were in, and they've moved to something else. So I think STEM's so broad as well, but there's so much within it that you can do, and there's so much like within it that's like to be passionate about as well.
I have to agree. I know I'm the host, so I'm not answering questions. However, I actually approached it subtly differently. So I knew what I didn't want to do, and I tried everything else that was left. Because again, not one size fits all. And if you don't like it, it's okay not to like it. You don't have to just feel, oh, I'm pressured into this, or my course tutor thinks this is really good, but it's up to you and it's your career. And you're at work more than you're at home, so you need to enjoy it.
I think there's so much pressure out of uni as well to know what you want to do. And the reality is very few people know. Even if you know you want to be an engineer, like very few people know exactly what within that they want to do. There's so many roles I didn't even know existed.
Yeah, and kind of picking up on that, at least for me, like I really love STEM, I really love physics and engineering, but I very much realized during university that I was not necessarily very technical minded. So like in my role, I've been able to kind of be around that and be in that kind of environment without having to do the engineering itself, which suits me quite well. So there are lots of roles out there if you don't know what you want to be doing, or you don't know exactly what you want to be doing.
Yeah, and even if you're in a career, it's not necessarily that you can't move. You can just try something different. I know people who've gone from electronics to aviation to systems engineering, and had different roles within their businesses or other businesses. So there's because it's so interlinked within STEM, there's an opportunity to have different careers throughout your life, which is something which you might not get in other places.
We are huge. It is like ridiculous. From as you're all on different but you've all started differently on your schemes, and you all are on just the different schemes at different entry points. How do you find the support from a training and development perspective? Because I'm aware that there's some people that are probably thinking, sounds amazing, but do I get trained? Do I get developed? Is there support around?
Yeah, so there's quite a lot of, I mean, there is loads of support and training, and I'd say it's kind of split into two streams, which is you have sort of like on the graduate program, and as an undergraduate, you have sort of a central graduate manager, which probably isn't the right phrasing, but it's that sort of vibe. And they do a lot of so you get your induction, which is like 3 days if you're an undergrad, or like 2 weeks if you're a graduate. And within that you get sort of immersed in the company, and then through that we also do sort of the personal effectiveness training that Steve mentioned, which is all of the core skills and stuff like that. And I'd say that's one side of the training, and then the other side is sort of your day job training, which it obviously is massively different depending on your role, but there is so much within that, and a lot of some of that's mandatory training that everyone has to do, but there's also loads of opportunities for sort of like other things you might be interested in. So I know for one, because I'm an engineer, I get a MATLAB newsletter through every month offering different training courses I can go on and stuff like that. So there's loads of opportunities, and you're not forced to go on them. It's not as if you spend your whole life training, but there's the option there to do them.
Yeah, there's definitely a focus on training where I've been. I've also had the personal effectiveness, which has been really good. Also, one thing Becky didn't quite touch on, as part of that personal effectiveness, you also get coaching sessions on your professional behaviours, which is something that I've never had before and really changed my outlook on a lot of different areas. So that's something you definitely get trained on, as well as in-role training, kind of as well as having a technical mentor day to day, who's someone who I've been able to go to for the role, and kind of talk about, ask questions about day-to-day things. I've also been sent on several training courses. As part of the current one I'm doing is actually 6 months, kind of in my own time, but as a chance to expand my knowledge even outside of university, with the idea that kind of we never stop learning, even if you've done a degree. So it's a chance to keep going. So it's definitely something that's focused on at my site.
Yeah, on mine, it's quite similar as well. So I was absolutely blown away when I started, because I knew that, like, from anecdotal evidence, that there was a strong culture of training, but I had no clue that we, like, under the project management capability, we got 3 professional qualifications, or we were expected to get 3 professional qualifications by the end of the kind of 18 months to 2 years, which I was really quite excited about, and I think that's something that kind of should be promoted a bit more. So, like, with a lot of other grad schemes, they do kind of show off what you get, like little badges by the end of it. But yeah, so that was something that I was really excited about when I started, and I've started doing one, but I've not finished any yet. So a kind of TBD on how that goes. But yeah, and again, I think as Becky and Alexa mentioned, you do get a lot of support throughout, like with line managers, with career managers, really having those people as a support network as well, which is lovely.
What do each of you like about the programme? Is there anything that's made you go, oh my God, this is amazing, and just step back and think, yeah, mint? I'll go one at a time, then you don't all have to know what to do. So Becky, can you please start?
I think the flexibility of it. So the fact that I am sort of shipped around within aerodynamics, so it's not as if I'm shipped out of a role that I don't love, but I'm shipped around sort of the sub disciplines within that, to get sort of a wide knowledge base. And I think the flexibility is just a massive thing, because the big thing for me was not knowing whether I was going to enjoy it. So the fact that I could join somewhere and then have the opportunity to move around was perfect for me, and that was one of the main things I was looking for.
Sophia?
Yeah, I think quite similarly to Becky. The fact that my kind of first placement was very much, or well, the only placement I've had so far, was very much tailored. So, like, throughout my application, throughout my interviews, on my CV, they could very much see that I liked space. So that first team that I was put into was a defence and space team. And yeah, making sure that it's something that you'll, or at least they think you'll enjoy, so that you like your job, which, yeah, again, is quite a basic thing, but I think that kind of care of thought is something that I really enjoy, or that I really appreciate.
Alexa?
I think kind of the combination of being able to get stuck in really early, getting involved in kind of real project work pretty quickly on getting onto the graduate scheme, but then complementing that with, we have stretch assignments as well, which is an opportunity to, like, do things you wouldn't get to do in your normal day job. For instance, I got to lead a team doing engineering taster week, which was a work experience for kind of engineering focused work experience for secondary school students, which is something that I never thought I'd get to do. But it was kind of really rewarding giving back to that, and then kind of complementing that with being hands-on with the project and working with your projects and working and testing your skills is something that I really enjoy, of having that duality.
I'd like to second the stretch assignments as well. I absolutely love those, and it's worth noting as well that there are they're not all sort of people-y ones. There's technical ones as well. So at uni I was quite passionate about materials, but I knew it wasn't something I wanted to do a job in. But as soon as I started here, a stretch assignment came up to do with materials, which is perfect because it means I still get to do something I'm interested in as a side note to my day role without making my whole job around it. And it's probably worth explaining that stretch assignments are small business relevant projects that are raised by teams, and graduates get to spend 20% of their time on one of those projects, and you get to sign up to whichever ones you're interested in. So I just thought it was worth explaining what they were.
Yeah.
Thank you. Well, it's a bit of a BAEism.
Yeah.
You touched on this
Yeah.
earlier, and I think each of you might have had a little point on it, but what would you say are some of the common misconceptions around working for BAE Systems? Aware that one of them is that we are a defence company, however, we're quite far detracted depending on our roles. What would you say we've got other common misconceptions which need to be abolished?
I think one that I've heard before on doing events like this is that there's kind of only one type of role on offer. That you're going to be hands-on, getting in the lab or working on a ship or on a plane, and that's the only thing we offer. And that while there are roles available and some people absolutely love them, that's not the only thing that we do. Our kind of STEM workforce is so broad throughout the entire organisation. I'm sure kind of the three of us do completely different things every day, and kind of even within my own department. And the grads in the same year as me, we have completely different days and in our day job. So if whatever you're kind of interested in or whatever you'd like to work on, there's probably a role in BAE for you, which is something that I found previously.
Any others?
I'll be honest, I can't think of any others at this point.
That's good. I had one. So it was a common misconception that I'd be the only person, I'd be the only female in where I worked. And the numbers are low, I'm not going to lie to you. It's not 50-50, but I'm never on my own. There are a few of us kicking about.
Yeah,
and
that's
we do
very
enjoy
true.
our jobs.
That is very true. Yeah, I think I thought the same thing, which is that I thought I was going to be the only person, but you're right. There's not 50-50, but there is more than one.
I think. Oh, sorry.
No,
I was just gonna say. I think I've got quite maybe a different point of view on that. Like for me, and this isn't going to be the same throughout the company, but my entire core team is all female, which is that was something which I was not expecting, but again was a very positive surprise. Obviously, we do work with other people as well, but yeah, it's quite a nice environment to be in.
Good. I'm going to ask each of you all the same question, so you can't give the same answer, unfortunately. But what's the one piece of advice that you would give to women looking for a BAE Systems graduate programme or graduate scheme? And I'll start with Alexa, who's bottom right for me.
I think kind of just trust in yourself and show off a bit. Everyone kind of on a STEM degree or even just getting through any degree is definitely has skills, and you have strengths. And one of the things I'd always say is don't be afraid to show off for that. Everyone's really good at different areas, and we need that diversity and strengths with any business. So yeah, don't be afraid to highlight that and push and say I'm great at this, because I think that's what sometimes people kind of lack, and it's something I lacked coming in and actually developed through coaching, is the ability to say I did really great on this, or this is my strength, or that kind of area.
Thanks. Becky?
A slight variation on what Alexa said, but I was going to say, don't think of yourself as sort of, I'm a woman trying to get into STEM, because realistically, if you're at this point, you're already a woman in STEM because you're doing it at uni. And actually just focus on who you are as a person and sort of your skills and stuff like that. Just sort of back yourself rather than thinking, oh, I'm a get into sort of a difficult job role because I'm a woman, because it's not true.
And finally, Sophia?
I think again a very similar line and a very basic point, but just apply. If you don't apply, you definitely won't get a role. But if you apply, and whether or not you believe you can do it, that can come later when you do your tests, when you do your interviews. But right now, just send something off, and yeah, then let the confidence come, but just do it now.
Thank you very much. We're going to go into a Q&A phase now, and we're going to have a lady called Hasfa Patel joining us. She's our candidate engagement and sourcing manager, who will be on hand to answer any questions on the recruitment and application process. So we'll see how this goes. Question-wise, I don't know if y'all can see this, but I can see it on my screen. So you mentioned there's flexibility. How do you get the balance of work versus home life?
I think that's a very varied question depending on who you ask, because depending on the work you're doing, you have to be on site. There's some work you can't do from home. That being said, at the moment, especially because of COVID, the company has realised just how much can be done from home. So everyone is very flexible at the moment, and there's no solid decisions on how that's going to be. So I know my team works full time from home at the moment, but I was sort of getting a bit sick of my back room, so I once or twice a week book rooms in our link facilities, which are just sort of converted buildings where you can book a desk, and it means I'm back in a work environment a couple of days a week. So it is massively varied on who.
Any of the ladies have anything to add?
Yeah, I'd say there's definitely variability. Obviously, it's been different for the past year. We've mainly been working from home for the pandemic. Again, coming in when you need to be in the labs, or when you've got something that takes you onto site. It's actually something we're looking at the moment in my team of the future. And I think there's definitely going to be that balance. I think on my team's planning on going in 1 to 2 days a week, but so we're all kind of together and can share ideas, and then working from home the rest of the time. But it varies from team to team, and it's actually something that has kind of been raised as a question with the pandemic. So it's being shaped at the moment.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much I have to add there. I think like Becky, I've been trying to book in desks a little bit more than I necessarily need to. But it is just quite nice to go in and meet other people who aren't necessarily even on your team. So yeah, I try and coordinate with some of the other grads from my cohort, and we all book desks on the same day. And then yeah, you can make friends. It's quite good.
Thank you very much. Next question. What did you do? I can't read it then. To stand out during the application process and to get through to the second stage? So I'll go around all of you so you can all have a go. So Sophia, can you please go first?
I think this is quite a tricky one because we don't necessarily know what like flagged our own applications. For me, I think it was probably extracurricular. I really love doing societies at uni and like charity work. And it was like, for me, it was all very targeted to space, which I guess is quite niche. But that's what makes it exciting. So I think, yeah, just showing passion for what you want to be doing, whether that's through societies or through like events that you go to and people you've chatted with, I guess.
Alexa?
I'd say a similar thing to Sophia, in that kind of extracurriculars probably did play a big part in mine. I'd say also kind of breaking down my skills. It's something I was taught in university, of breaking down kind of the different areas that they ask questions on. For instance, are you good at problems? What's an example of problem solving? And, you know, having examples which you can go through for that from kind of work I did or university or societies. And, you know, being able to demonstrate that quickly is something that can help you stand out. But yeah, otherwise I can just say, yeah, doing, you know, taking part in societies at university, that kind of thing. Becky, I guess.
Yeah, so I'll take a slightly different angle on this, in terms of if people are sort of have less extracurriculars, which is I really focused on sort of things you've done at uni, but bear in mind a lot of people have done the same thing, so focus on what you did as part of that. So if there's been group projects, what happened during that you did that was really significant. So really focus on pulling yourself out of those situations and saying, I did this group project at uni, and X, Y, and Z happened, but specifically this is what I made happen, or this is what I fixed. And in a similar way, when you're writing things in your application, don't just be like, oh, I did this. Make sure you pull out why that's such a good thing that you did, like why that matters.
Can I have the next question, please?
I think just to add on that question as
Cool.
well, very much vouching on what the girls have said already. Whilst we have the applications coming into the recruitment team, we always make sure that the candidates are making sure that when you complete the application, always put in as much information as you can relevant to the role that you've applied for. A lot of the times we do get applications coming in with not so much supporting information, especially around what your capability and skills are for the roles that you apply for. That's what the hiring manager is really looking for. And also very much take some time and make sure you are filling in the application fully to its maximum capacity that you can, because we do sometimes get applications that get rejected simply because people haven't filled them in correctly. And it's such a shame that we do lose a lot of applicants at that stage. Once your application has come through the system, you need to kind of be aware that if you've gone through the first stage of SIFT and you've been invited to the online test and then you get to the next stage, you're already good for us at that point. So just making sure that when you are doing your online test, when you do the gamification, which is the new part of our process, that you are making sure that you're reading through the practice questions and making sure that you give it your best shot. And once you've gone through that stage, you've already proven what you're capable of. And when you do come to the interview stage, whether it's Skype or face to face, you very much need to just sell your CV. So what you've put on your application is what the hiring manager is now looking for. So you're just literally talking them through. And at that stage, I think we do get some very nervous candidates, but always remember, for you to be even at that stage is massive. It's a really good success for yourself, because we get a high influx of applications coming in. So just making sure that you really find out about the role. You need to know what the role entails, where your location is, what the business unit does. A lot of the information is on the website, and you can get yourself really equipped on that. So best luck for anybody that applies. And the application window is open. We are trying to get the interview scheduled in now. So if you haven't made your application already and thinking of, I would definitely push you to make your application now. Sooner the better.
One thing I will add about the interview stage is that you've got to remember that you are sat there, whether it's face to face or over Skype, and it's as nervous for you as it is for us, because I've conducted the interviews and been an interviewee, but everyone's had to have an interview to get there. So everyone is sat in the same seat that you're sat in, delivering your interview, selling yourself to the hiring people on the other side of the table. So it is nerve-wracking, but we understand that because we're all human. Yeah. So please don't feel like it's the worst thing in the entire world. We've all been there, and they're not nice for anybody. Do I have another? Is there anything you get involved in outside of your day-to-day role? Things like volunteering, sports teams, or socials with other grads?
We have a grad council, which is one of the stretch assignments Alexa and I mentioned, which it's a council of grads, and they run activities for grads, and they vary from nights out to days out hiking. There's been a load of other socials. They had a comedy night last night as part of the graduate workshop where we had a comedian online. So they run loads of things, but they're always open to suggestions as well. So I think if there was a high influx of people wanting to start up a five-a-side football team, for example, the grad council are definitely the people to do it. And I know when we were on the internship, because we were all in person, then there was five-a-side teams happening between the grads and the undergrads. I think it's just been a bit different because of COVID. But yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just to chime in there, I got involved with the grad council, as a representative for my kind of business unit, which is quite nice. And again, even though it is all virtual, people are at different locations in different parts of the company, doing different roles. You get to meet and speak to people you wouldn't otherwise interact with. So I think it's definitely something worth getting involved in. On a more local scale, the grads from my cohort like to go to the pub on a Thursday. So we kind of organise that within ourselves because obviously, like with the pandemic, it is still quite difficult. But yeah, there's definitely things that you can make happen if you want them to happen.
Yeah, I'd say the same. It's been different in the pandemic. I know it was kind of different in 2019. We as undergrads did a few days out and activities together. I distinctly remember a laser tag social which was organised. But yeah, this year it's been a bit different, but we still managed to get to the pub at various points as a graduate cohort. And I know, not me personally, but some of the people in the graduate community around me are part of badminton, and hockey is part of the company as well. So there are opportunities like that.
Hi, what does a typical day at work look like for you? Becky, I'll start with you, please, as you're top left on my screen.
Yeah, sure. So I'll go for my previous role because my current role's just starting up. But in my previous role, I had sort of multiple projects I was working on at the same time. And two of those were tool set building. So I was sort of writing MATLAB scripts to try and sort of solve or automate what happening, which as someone who'd never done MATLAB before starting here before was quite a challenge, but I ended up really enjoying it. But what I typically try to do is I try to do sort of one project in the morning and then a different project in an afternoon. It just tends to keep things sort of different. Also, because of the way I know I work, I tend to try and organise my meetings for an afternoon because I know I tend to flag sort of motivation-wise in an afternoon. So I'm better off being sat in a meeting, forced to speak, than I would be sort of in front of my laptop trying to motivate myself. But yeah, that tends to be how I try to split things up.
Alexa?
So my day-to-day role varies. I've spent the past year working across two different projects, so 50% of my time on one, 50% of my time on the other. So the day usually starts out, I guess, normal admin, answering emails, that kind of thing. My team has a team scrum kind of every second day, or at some points if it's busy, every day at 10, which is kind of a chance to talk to each other, kind of work out where everyone is, have a bit of a check-in, and look at what's work we've got for the day. And from that, it varies. For some of my projects, I might be doing verification of design. So on a day-to-day job, I do FPGA or kind of chip design. So I might be verifying that current designs work. I might be doing some design myself. I might be writing requirements. I kind of could be doing some coding for the FPGAs. So it kind of varies. And then on top of that, interspersed in that is kind of stretch assignments. So for instance, I might be planning a budget for ECW, or I might be kind of liaising with some senior stakeholders on an event. So I also try to do the same thing of try to get a bit of variation. So I'm not just doing one project every day. I usually intersperse it with at least an hour or two of something different, or a stretch assignment, or that kind of thing.
Sophia?
So my days are a lot less structured than I think Becky or Alexa, and I think that again is partially how I work. I like a little bit of everything. So I'm on a single team, but we kind of work across. It could be up to about 15 projects at a time. So it's quite bitty. I don't schedule meetings for certain points. I have them throughout, and so it is very much like every day is different, but doing similar tasks so that you can still familiarize yourself with processes. So yeah.
Even as somebody well established in the business, I have no 2 days that are the same, and I am all over the place. But it's good because I like that.
It makes it so much more fun, and you never know what's coming next. It's the element of surprise.
Would somebody with a chemistry degree be accepted to the graduate programme? Don't know who's best to answer. Anyone chipping in?
Yeah, I can answer that one. So with the roles that we have advertised on the website, all of our roles have various entry requirements. And what the best thing to do really is have a look at the roles that we have available. And there is a bit of a intro paragraph on the website to say what the role entails. If you click the search and apply, you can actually look at the entry criteria. We've just updated a lot of our role profiles. And to be quite real, with the actual chemistry degree, there's lots and lots of roles that you could potentially be applying for. So have a look through the website for the opportunities that we have. And some of them usually, are roles where you can potentially come in with different sets of degrees, but there is so much more vast opportunities that we have available with the chemistry degree. So please have a look at the website.
Thank you. Save me panicking. What do you think your future looks like at BAE Systems, and what are you most excited about? So I'll go individually. Alexa, you can kick us off, please.
I think my future looks bright. If I'm being kind of straightforward, as engineers usually are, I'm looking at my next year on the grad scheme. I'm kind of hoping to do the best I can and get all the experiences out of it while I'm still on the scheme. After that, I'll kind of transition into an engineer role, where I'll still be doing pretty much the same work. Just you get a couple of opportunities to what's called indirect booking on the grad scheme. So you get an opportunity to trial different things and some time to learn, which is a bit different when you're an actual engineer. After that, I've got support at the moment. I'm looking to go towards chartership, kind of as a chartered electronic engineer. So I'm hoping I'll go to that, and who knows? I'll be just progressing and trying to get as good and get as much experience in my role as I can.
Sophia?
I'm also hoping my future at BAE looks bright. I loved the candor of that. But yeah, I have quite a positive outlook as well. And I think the thing I'm most excited about is kind of being able to gain a little bit more independence as I gain more skills. So I got a little taste of that, I think, this week, which is really exciting, and trying to problem solve questions instead of necessarily just going and asking somebody. So having that confidence and developing that confidence to be able to tackle things. But obviously, like on a grad scheme, you are very much there to learn. So yeah, I think that development is what I'm most excited for.
And finally, Becky?
Go on, I think mine looks bright as well. No, I think at the moment it feels like that BAE is going through a lot of change. It's a lot of positive change between the pandemic and roles changing and things like that. I think I couldn't tell you what the future looks like, but I'm excited for it. And I'm excited to sort of move through roles and through the company. And I must admit, especially as an engineer in the air sector, I'd be lying if I said the thing I'm most excited about isn't Tempest, because that is sort of the future of this company for quite a while, especially for my sector. So yeah, that is the thing I'm most excited about.
Thank you very much. I want to thank everybody who started in this afternoon. It's really, really much appreciated to listen to us, have a little chinwag, and thank you very much to the panelists for sharing your experiences and your advice, and hopefully it's been useful to those that have dialed in. Just wanted to clarify and reiterate, as Steve said earlier, roles are closing soon. We're doing it on the as completed basis rather than a hard stop. So please be sure to submit your application as soon as physically possible to best secure your place for a 2022 role. You can do this by visiting our website at baesystems.com/graduates, and the link for this recording will also be shared post the session. Thank you very much. Have a lovely evening. Cheers, guys.
Thank you.